I don't always do assorted thoughts for go-home shows, but you know what? I'm really loving Sami Zayn's U.S. Open Challenge on SmackDown, so I definitely am going to talk about that. And these are my assorted thoughts on the September 19th, 2025 WWE Smackdown. Welcome to Silo Voice Wrestling on YouTube and the Silo Voice Wrestling podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Jason C. McLean. Now, I'm recording this on September the 22nd, which is a Monday. It's just before 6 p.m. Eastern, so Raw starts in a little over an hour because Raw starts at 7 now. That means I've seen SmackDown. I've seen Wrestlepalooza, but I'm going to try and get this recorded and my Wrestlepalooza review recorded before I watch Raw, even though they're both going to come out after. Okay, so yeah, this is the go-home show for Wrestlepalooza, but the main thing I want to focus on is the Sami Zayn U.S. Open Challenge, basically an open challenge where he's defending the United States Championship against various opponents. First one was against John Cena, so that doesn't really count as like an up-and-coming talent. The second one, the previous SmackDown, was against Rey Fenix, breaking the fourth wall. Andrade's been let go from WWE, so Phoenix might be moving, I think, to the tag team scene on Raw, maybe even as of tonight. But that was a great match for him, and the crowd last week and this week, there was when Sami was announced, there was a cheer, but then like an almost a louder boo, and then the louder cheers came in. I think it's because he's champion. I'm hoping ultimately he ends up at the end of this as a babyface. There was a fantastic match last week that almost had me thinking Sami was going that the title was going to change hands, even though I logically didn't think it would. And then this week against Carmelo Hayes, that was a hell of a match. This is awesome matches, like the best part of SmackDown. I thought there was going to be some interference from The Miz. No, Sami won clean. Now, ultimately, I think Sami is going to have to lose the United States Championship. I hope it's not against Solo Sikoa. I don't know what they're really doing with him. I think he only has one MFT right now, according to the last trailer. What happened to the rest of the guys? I don't know. But I think it's going to be against one of these guys maybe shortly before the Royal Rumble. I don't know if he's going to keep it that long. And then he's going to hopefully win the Rumble and win the World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania, put him back on Raw. But I think this is a great way to spend his time on SmackDown, not just feuding with the MFTs or former Bloodline and all that. He's really good for these matches because he always puts on a hell of a show. It's interesting to see him against guys that aren't super huge because he's got the whole David versus Goliath thing, but this is David versus an equally sized David, he's actually the one who's the veteran. And also this time, he won with a blue Thunder Bomb. Now, I was going to say he's only beaten one other person with a blue Thunder Bomb as far as I've seen, and that was The Miz, and now he beats The Miz's protege. But my brother reminded me he had also beaten somebody else with a blue Thunder Bomb. I forget exactly who that was. But no, it's nice to see him actually win with a blue Thunder Bomb. He's got to win some of these that way, because the moment he loses, even though every time I think he might lose, I realize they're not going to do that because the moment he loses, it ends the U.S. challenge. Now, he might ultimately lose to Carmelo Hayes wishful thinking is Kevin Owens comes back, and that was the person to beat him. But I think Kevin Owens is out for a lot longer. Someone who might be coming back, I don't know how long his injury's been. I know he had to have surgery. Imagine a returning Ilya Dragunov. I think that might, if it works out with the surgeries, that might be who ultimately dethroned Sami Zayn. He'll have, I think, a really good run with these open challenges, and that really is increasing his credibility. He keeps beating people every week. Some people were apparently saying Sammy Hogan, which is total BS because he actually lost more matches than he won. But I think him winning these matches really makes him credible when he does become World Heavyweight Champion. I like the fact that The Miz didn't interfere. Carmelo lost clean. But you know what? This is like my highlight of SmackDown. It's the match I care the most about. And I was glad to see another great one. Bring more of these on, please. Now, for the rest of my assorted thoughts, I'm going to try and avoid talking too much about stuff that relates to Wrestlepalooza, but you can't really ignore the opening of the show with Brock Lesnar going like he's going to F5 Michael Cole, but then Corey Graves comes in. I'm like, okay, fine. They're taking out Corey, so Pat McAfee has an excuse to come in, not knowing why they need an excuse to bring in Pat, but I don't know, maybe Corey needs a vacation. But I am surprised that Miz is actually quite good on commentary. Maybe they're trying him out for that in the future. And even in the Carmelo Hayes match where he's involved in the story, he sort of shouted a few things, but he didn't get involved in the match. It wasn't just an excuse to get him involved in that match. And honestly, and I saw him on the some of the pre-shows for Wrestlepalooza, Miz is actually quite good on commentary. As for the ending, I did like the fact that Drew decided not to kick Cody through the bottom of the announce table because it would have put him out and he wouldn't have been able to compete at Wrestlepalooza, and Drew wanted to win the title. That was some good character work there. Of course, I mean, they were just trying to, bring more heat to this match. They had sort of been on the back burner and brought back last minute, and apparently would, spoiler alert, be the main event. More on that in the next review. As for the Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss versus Chelsea Green and Alba Fire, because Piper Niven, unfortunately, is still out. They didn't win the tag titles. I think they got to find something new for them to do. Maybe I was thinking Piper might have, been back or something and was like hiding under the ring, would have come out and cheated or something like that, and they would have won. But other than that, no, obviously, I think Charlotte and Alexa are going to lose the titles, but probably not to Chelsea and the Hervis, whoever it happens to be, at least not till Piper Niven gets back. Maybe to another heel team, maybe Judgment Day, or I'm thinking they lose it on Raw to to Asuka and Kairi, given what happened at Wrestlepalooza. But who knows? Still, it was a good match, fun part of the show. The impromptu match of the Brawnies, Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed versus Fraxium. I mean, it was a good match. Obviously, they have the big guys versus the fast guys, except for the fact that not only is he big, Braun Breaker is incredibly fast. So obviously they were going to win, but I think the purpose of that was to sort of show them fighting different tag teams from both brands. I'm pretty sure they're going to have the tag team championship soon and bring it to the Vision. But also it was to show Paul Heyman in return, and the interaction with Paul Heyman and Brock would lead to something the next night and maybe to something in the future. So that was an interesting part of the show. And of course, we set up a triple threat match for the WWE Women's Championship. Tiffany Stratton defending against Nia Jax and Jade Cargill. You can see that coming. The only, the crowd didn't seem that into it. They asked because they weren't going to get that match that night, and it wasn't even going to be anytime soon. The only gripe I have is, wouldn't that be better on Wrestlepalooza? I could definitely think it being better than maybe one of the matches they had. Anyways, check the next review for that one. These were my assorted thoughts on the September 19th, 2025 WWE Smackdown. What do you think of Sami Zayn's US Open Challenge? What did you think of the Smackdown? My assorted thoughts. Let me know in the comments. Follow at Silo Voice Wrestling on Facebook and Instagram, at Silo Wrestling on X, and me at Jason C. McLean on X and Instagram. Also, jasoncmclean.bsky.social on Bluesky. Check out the new website for this, which is going to have some news reporting as well, wrestling news. SiloVoiceWrestling.com. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, ring that bell for notifications for all my wrestling hot takes, cold takes, simmering takes, wrestling opinion pieces, WWE Premium Live Event prediction and review videos, and assorted thoughts on Raw and SmackDown. I'll catch you next in my review of Wrestlepalooza and my assorted thoughts on Raw. Till then, for Silo Voice Studios in Montreal, I'm Jason C. McLean.